Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets. Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off a 50-cent pick four on Tampa Bay Derby Saturday at Tampa Bay Downs with graded stakes action. It's the challenger for older horses going a mile and a 16th. Let's take a look at this field. Interesting horse returning off a lengthy layoff. It's the 3 Greatest Honor. He won the 2021 Fountain of Youth. Then he was third in the Florida Derby, and then he disappeared. He hasn't run since then. Supposedly he had some bone bruising in his ankles and shug. He's a master. He gave this horse plenty of time to recover.
Yeah, a lot of time since we've last seen this horse. He was obviously very good as an early 3-year-old, Dan. We'll see how he comes back to the races in here. I think it's, certainly fair to want to give him a race off of this kind of a long layoff, but the last time we saw him, he was good.
Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector because the one down on the inside, Wolfie's Dynaghost, I would expect to make the lead. Now, Mike, I know you were impressed with Wolfie's Dynaghost's first few races on dirt, and considering his pedigree, it's completely understandable why Tommy Albertrani put him on the turf. It appears that maybe he's reaching peak maturity now. He's won his last 2 starts, one on turf at Tampa, and then this race over the new Tapeta track at Gulfstream Park. Let's watch Wolfie's Dynaghost, who was dismissed at a big price for his synthetic debut. And he made the lead turning into the stretch, and he dug in very gamely. I do believe he's reaching peak maturity, and he handles dirt just fine.
Yeah, he does. It's sort of amazing to me, Dan. You're right about everything you said about his pedigree and, the reasons to try him on the grass. Personally, I don't think he's nearly as good on turf as he is on the main track. One dirt start since that allowance win in the slop at Belmont. This win here, on the Tapeta, I don't know where I was on January 29th when he went off at 20-1, but I wasn't watching Gulfstream, that's for sure. He ran fine in there. He let a big long shot take over the lead from him early. He just sat off that horse, came back for it, took over, and was really game through the stretch. Obviously, when you're talking about the field that he just beat, Dan, and compare it to the one he's running against on Saturday, it's a world of difference. This is a really good field, but I like this horse. He's got a lot of speed.
It certainly is a lot tougher. The 6th place horse in that race did come back to win with a 93 buyer on turf, albeit against $50,000 claimers. Mischief Afoot came out of that race. He ran 8th after breaking slowly, and that's becoming a theme with Mischief Afoot. He's just not a good gate horse, and it looks like he's the kind of horse that needs a lot of pace to set him up. I'm just not sure he's the best closer in this field.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I don't think I'd be taking him to try to pass this entire field, which it feels like he's going to have to do. To me, he was just hard to make a case for. Although I guess we could at least point out, Dan, he seems to really like a wet track, and he might get those conditions on Saturday.
Greatest Honor swept through the Holy Bull and the Fountain of Youth for Shug last year. And then in the Florida Derby, it wasn't a terrible effort. It just seemed like he's the kind of horse that it takes a while to get going, like extra distance might be his friend. He ended up clunking up for 3rd in that race. It was a good field he was in against. He just missed a lot of time. And for me, I don't think Shug's really going to have him cranked up 100% for the Challenger. It's a big year coming ahead, but he can obviously win. I just don't want him at a short price.
I feel the exact same way about him, Dan. I don't have anything to add to that, really. I think it's reasonable to expect him to need a race off the layoff here. And so I'm happy to give it to him, especially if he takes a lot of money in this race, which it feels like he could. Can he win? He absolutely can win. I'm betting somebody else.
The 4 is Dynamic One, and he's another talented 3-year-old from 2021 returning off of the layoff. He ran 2nd by a head in the Wood Memorial. He ran in the Kentucky Derby where he was completely overmatched. I like that Todd put him in that curlin. It was just the right spot for him, and I think he got the right closer's trip to win that day. His Travers, I don't think is as bad as it looks on paper.
Boy, I can't say anything opposite of what you just said, Dan. I don't know what was going on in the Travers, and I don't really want to blame One Ortiz, but he never had this horse really in a position to run until they got into the top of the stretch. And when they got there, this horse had already thrown in the towel. He came up completely empty. I'm giving him a complete pass for the Travers. Really liked his curl, and I thought he ran a great race that day. Prior to that, he was best in the Wood Memorial, even though he didn't win. I think this horse is really good. And Pletcher is, he's so good off of layoffs, Dan. I don't think you really worry about it.
And like Greatest Honor, he'll be getting Lasix. Warstopper's up next, also trained by Todd Pletcher. And I wonder if that last race, which is merely a prep off of the rather lengthy layoff, he was bet down to favoritism and he caught a pretty good field. The fifth place horse came back to win with a 99 Beyer speed figure. He ran third in last year's Challenger at 7-5. He likes this course. I think he has races that make him interesting, and I think he'll be sharper second off the layoff.
Yeah, and he could be forward in this race, which I guess could be a positive too. Dan, personally, I know he's got some figures on his card. I don't think he's nearly as good as some of the other horses in this race. He was third in this race last year. To me, that wasn't as strong a field as this one, and he didn't run great in that race. I know it was a 91 Beyer speed figure for him, but I didn't think he ran a great race that day. I think this is way tougher. He seems to me like the kind of horse who could take a little bit of money in here. I think anything under 10-1 is probably a pretty poor price.
Number 6, Hidden Stash for Vicky Oliver. This is a horse that did some very good things at Tampa Bay Downs last year. This horse was third in the Sam F. Davis. He was a close second in the Tampa Bay Derby, and maybe they aimed a little bit too high running in the Bluegrass and the Kentucky Derby. Now, he missed a lot of time after the Kentucky Derby. It's very interesting that they ran him on grass in his first 2 starts as a 4-year-old, but he wasn't embarrassed both times. Give him some pace. This horse can kick at a price.
Yeah, that's probably all true. I mean, I think it's reasonable to expect that he could take a step forward at some point. He was okay as an early through. I didn't think he was great, Dan. And boy, that Tampa Bay Derby that he lost last year, I had a tough time getting over that one. I didn't really see his excuse there not to get by the big long shot Helium. I don't know. This horse is good, obviously. He could get better. He has to get better to beat this field.
The 7 Tune In has won 3 out of his last 5 starts. He's taking a big step up in class. He does like a wet track, and there is a precipitation forecast for the Tampa Bay area on Saturday. Think he likes wet tracks? Watch this race. This is his seasonal debut at Gulfstream, running a monsoon. And I know it's a weak field, and he was able just to get to the easiest of leads, but nice to know he handles a wet track. He's been winning races lately. He'll be close to the pace, but this is the biggest class test of his life.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot for him. His last 2 wins over sloppy steel tracks are just blowout wins. So I guess that could be a positive for him, Dan. Of course, they're not against horses like this. He's also, pretty good on a fast track too. It just feels like the key to him is getting to the early lead, and I'm assuming they're going to send for it here.
The McGahee trend runner that's going to take the attention in this race is obviously Greatest Honor, but I wonder if Scalding's not the better play from a tote board perspective, simply because he just seems like he fits the mold of one of those Shug McGahee trained horses that gets better with added maturity. He's a 4-year-old that's only run 4 times, but he's won his last 2 races, one over slop, including this start at Tampa Bay Downs, and now only for one other than race, where he stayed up close to a moderate pace, but once he took over, he made short work of this field. I think this horse is still improving, and he has the tactical speed to work out a good trip.
Yeah, I think all those things are true. I don't know what kind of field this is that he's beating, Dan. And he worked pretty hard from around the far turn all the way through the mid stretch or so before he got control of this thing. So obviously, I feel like he probably has to take another step forward against a field like this one. But man, he's just so lightly raced, and he's actually run well in all 4 starts.
The number 9, Cody's Wish, a Godolphin homebred, has won his last 3 races for trainer Bill Mott. Now he's going to stretch back around 2 turns after really doing his best work, going a 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs. His last race was okay. I thought he kind of brushed the side of the gate at the start. There wasn't a fast pace. He swept to the outside, and he was game. That runner-up wasn't really giving much ground, and he was able to wear him down. The Beyers look good. I just wonder if he classes up with this field. At 8-1, I might take a chance.
Yeah, I could certainly take a chance with him at that price too. It just feels like there's a lot of ability here, Dan. Whether he ultimately finally puts everything together or not, I don't know. But he's now won 3 races in a row. He's a terrible gate horse. You mentioned that he broke a little awkwardly last time. Even when he broke his maiden 3-back, he stumbled at the start of that race. The first route race at Saratoga, he totally blew the start that day. It's been a real problem for this horse. But he does have ability, and he's got a great running style. I feel like he can get himself within range of the pace, and I feel like he's going to stay the distance, Dan. When you watch him finish up those 1-turn miles, it doesn't feel like farther distances are going to be a real problem for this horse.
Speaking of ability, the number 10 Shirl Speight has ability in spades. Maybe they rushed this horse last year after he won his first 2 starts, including the Grade 3 Marine. Heck, in only his 3rd lifetime start, he was 7-2 in the Woodbine Mile. This horse seemed to lose his way after that, but his last 2 starts on turf at Tampa Bay have been very good. I find it very interesting that they're running him back on dirt, considering his 1 start on dirt, and I know it was only a sprint. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean, that was my opinion too. I mean, I guess it's a sign of confidence from his connections. They think he's going to handle it and they want to try it again while he's in good form. I mean, I guess that makes him mildly interesting. I still want him to prove that he's a dirt horse, especially against a field like this.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the kickoff leg of the Pick 4 at Tampa Bay Downs on Tampa Bay Derby Saturday. Dynamic One. You mentioned Todd is great off of layoffs. This horse showed a strong kick in several races last year, and I think there's a chance that this pace is going to be solid.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I think Dynamic One, I thought he was a good 3-year-old, Dan. I thought he was really underrated last year, and I think he has a chance to be a really good older horse. I'm going to take him here off the layup. I considered putting your horse on top. I think he's really dangerous. And here, Cody's Wish. And if he's around that morning line price, I have to use him.
It's got to break, as you mentioned, Mike, in your analysis. Yeah. I hope the Cody's Wish does break here, because I think if he does, he's adaptable to any kind of pace scenario. I still think there's a lot of upside for this beautifully bred son of Curlin. 9318 for me, 4981 for Mike. It is the Challenger, the first leg of a 50-cent Pick 4 at Tampa Bay Downs on Derby Saturday. Good luck.